With a lot of rain, you're going to have to adjust your fishing this weekend. Our guides are standing by with the best information and tips to help you make the right moves while out on the water. So get ready, because it's time for the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Thanks for joining Rick and I for another week on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Well, everyone has been weathering storms. This weekend will hopefully be a productive one to get out on the water and do some catching. And Rick, like you said, you might have to make some moves here and there to dodge that.
You're
rain.
absolutely right. And you know, the Sportsman's Adventure crew is making some moves, and we're going to Texas. So guys, I hope I get to see you, because we're coming down there. We're planning on doing some red fishing and some tuna fishing.
Where are you going?
I'm going down to Port Mansfield.
Oh.
See Uncle Chad.
Nice. All right, well, let's say hello to our main man over at the CCA workbench, who is ponied up for this wonderful end of the season show. Haven't you, Dave?
Oh, I've ponied it up all right. We're talking about crappie today.
Crappie.
The little fellas.
The little good-eating fellas.
The little delicious fellas.
Delicious. They're quite delicious. They're so delicious. Okay, well, we're starting off in the Garmin Lower Coast region, where inshore is looking good and offshore is looking good for some tuna and grouper action, like you just said, Rick. But clarity is definitely key. So, Chad, it's been a great season. Let's close it out with a bang.
Tell you what, it's looking as good. It's going to close out with a bang this weekend. It's going to be a good time to go fishing offshore and inshore, so I'm looking forward to Rick coming down. But getting the fishing report for everybody else is going to be out there, and we'll probably hopefully see you. I'm going to stay home here with my Port Mansfield, where my home roots are at here. So Mansfield's been really good. The redfish bites have been really good around the lower coast jetties and up on the flats there. The trout bite is good around the deeper grass beds around the weather station and south of down around the saucer. On these redfish this time of year, we always kind of wait for them. It used to be all year long, but now it seems like it's a transition to where they kind of start coming out here in the fall, September here. So you start targeting these fish around the flats out of Port Mansfield. We got miles and miles of these flats. I think they show up because there's less boat traffic, the cooler temps are coming there. The fish will be up in that knee-deep water. So the best way to get out there is utilize your shallow sport, get out in those flats, and wade fish is my favorite way to do it, and I think it's most effective. So power pull your boat down and take your remote with you on your wade there, and spread everyone out to cover some more water. You start out early throwing some mirror lure, surface walker sheet dogs. Bone color and pink are working really excellent. And if you like them the soft plastics, then when I'm up shallower like that, I'll go with that saltwater sashing, the 4-inch sea shad, the paddle tail. This you can throw out there and remove quickly, and if you're in that shorter grass, they'll keep it in the middle of the strike zone there, and those redfish get a little bit more aggressive on that. So look for that bait up early, up shallow, and it's going to start to fall off as the day goes on to deeper water, so you can kind of move those fish, move the bait on them. Got a picture here. Adam Taylor is just fishing out of Mansfield. See, you got a good stringer of redfish out in the flats here and some trout mixed in.
Nice. All right, tell us about the
good stuff. So trout fishing, it's picking up. See the soft plastics they're turning on to. Saltwater sassins, 5-inch sea shad. I've been talking about this pretty much all year. 1/8 ounce jig head, but I love that magic grass color. And also that chicken on a chain works excellent this time of year. Work those deeper grass beds by the weather station or south down the saucer. They've been holding that 4 to 6 foot of water break. The tides are up from all the storms. We got lucky and it went north of here, but we're still up about a foot and a half. So those deeper grass beds where they're hidden, let the lure drop off the bottom, sort of bump it through those grass beds, feel it, hit those sand pockets for the better trout action. If you're looking for a really big trophy trout this time of year, I'd wade the King Branch shoreline and throw a mirror lure sheet dog up against the bank there, up against the little grass beds that pop out, and work that King Ranch, especially on calmer days like we got coming this weekend up through the fall, and you'll have a better shot at a big one there. And look for, key thing there is kind of when you're driving through, make it look for some mullet moving or some slicks early in the morning to give you a good idea of location where to stop. Heading to the offshore. Offshore is really excellent this time of year. You got to have the weather there. But it looks like we're going to definitely have it this weekend. No more tropical stuff out there, thank God. So we'll have some calmer conditions. Blue water should start creeping back in. So look for some good tuna action around the deeper shrimp boats. And then if you want to, you can go out deeper, deep dropping for some grouper. So we're going to talk about the tuna action around the shrimp boats. So they're going to be there. They'll be behind those deeper boats out in that 150 to 200 foot of water plus. And while they're dragging, I like pulling some smaller islander lures. Pull up to 3 lines out there so you can make quicker turns. Pull 2 off your flat lines and 1 longer down the center. That keep it out there across the other 2. And while the bite stays on, keep on trolling and doing that. If the boats are anchored up, then the best bet is to come up behind them, throw some chum out, use an Eagle Claw bait hook, 7/0 circle hook is about what I like to use, and a piece of bait that you're chumming, tied to that direct, and free spool it out there. You can use basically a reel, about a 16 to 20 wide reel, fill it with some Amoy Diamond Mono. I like the mono because it will stretch a little bit. Not a whole bunch, but it'll stretch enough and won't be as tight as that braid. And just tie it direct so it'll float through there. I like the smoke blue line. In my opinion, works best for the camouflage and also the strength. And usually after while those tuna are going to drop down deeper, mid-morning, midday, and afternoon, when that happens, you can kind of switch your gears and head out deeper. Or if you're that close enough to the area already, start going down and start doing some deep dropping or jigging for some grouper or amberjack. So talking about the deep dropping, hopefully we get to do that here probably this weekend for some grouper. It's a pretty good workout, but it's extremely rewarding, especially if you're patient, you get a bite going. Best thing is use your Garmin GPS to get you up to that deeper structure. Look at the sonar, see where the fish are hanging out at. These fish are normally going to be at least 150 foot or deeper. Try an Eagle Claw bucktail jig with a larger strip of fish bite on it and send it straight to the bottom and work from the bottom to up about maybe 10 feet. It's not going to be like amberjack fishing where you're just going to be ripping it through the column. Keep this bouncing and bumping off that bottom. Be as patient as you can because you might want to get scamp grouper, a gag grouper, a yellow edge, or a bigger warsaw. And also currents play a big deal in the grouper fishing through my experience. If the currents are really moving quick, boats moving fast, it's going to be really difficult. The bite's going to be slow. What you want is not a dead current, but you want a slightly current, maybe going into the seas almost even, some good clarity, and work those jigs and keep on moving and try different depths of water to see if there's any changes there. And I got a picture of a nice warsaw grouper here.
All right, thank you so much, Chad. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the shallow sport boats, hot spots from the lower coast region. He says inshore, Port Mansfield flats have been great for redfish using mirror lure, topwaters, and saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shads, paddle tails. And then offshore, the blackfin tuna bite is around the deeper shrimp boats pulling smaller islander lures. What do you think, Brie?
I think it sounds good to me. All right, there's lots going on in the upper fresh region, and it's looking like Lake Tawakoni and Fork are in the spotlight. Johnny, I'm so excited to come fishing with you in a few weeks, and we want to thank you for representing the upper fresh region so well this year.
Oh, we're going to catch them, Bree. Looking forward to it. Well, what a year this has been. It's kind of hard to believe that our 2020 season is just winding down. It's been a challenging year, but I want to thank our viewers, our sponsors, and my customers for all their support. Fishing is one of the few activities that provides a safe environment to get out and enjoy the outdoors with friends and family. So we'll still be fishing these upper fresh lakes this fall and winter, chasing the big bass, crappie, and stripers. And I'll be sending Rick some YouTube videos to share on his channel as well. So hope everyone enjoyed our Texas Insider Fishing Reports and look forward to next season. Hey, let's start out tonight talking about the stripers over on Lake Tawakoni. Capt Matt Cartwright. He's had an outstanding summer over on Tawakoni, and his customers have enjoyed consistent limits of multi-species. Matt reports that the topwater baits, the slabs, the swim baits, and the big flutter spoon lures are all producing at this time. You have to let the fish tell you what they want to hit best each day, and usually the early mornings and cloudy days have the stripers up on the surface, thrashing through schools of big gizzard shad. So you hear that smacking sound of the schooling stripers, you got to keep looking out for the nearest blow up so you can make a quick cast and you get hooked up pretty quick. Sometimes you don't even have time to engage your reel before the big fish crashes into your lure. So after the topwater schooling activity slows up, you can continue to catch them on slabs when they go to the bottom. The heavy slabs are a very versatile lure, and you can catch fish by quickly reeling it through or hopping it right off the bottom. So the slab cover all parts of the water column. It's very effective at firing up a school of fish, and usually when one fish starts to chase and hit the bait, a whole bunch of them will be after the same lure. So other anglers on board can make a quick cast right towards the hooked fish and usually get another one on immediately. So I like to use the 4-inch, 6-inch swim bait to catch the suspended fish. The 6 to 8-inch flutter spoon's another effective bait that's catching fish right now, big stripers and hybrids. These lures imitate the big gizzard shad that have been crippled by the feeding fish, and they look like an easy meal to the big stripers. Just make a long cast, watch the bow in your line to tell you when the spoon hits the bottom. Once that line goes slack, make a few quick turns of the reel handle, watch your line fall back to the bottom. The fish will usually always hit it on the fall, and you can usually feel that tick on your line or watch your line even jump. The fall bite's usually outstanding on Tawakoni, so now is a great time to make a trip with Matt. Here's a picture of a big striper with his customer caught this week on a big chartreuse flutter spoon. That's a long old Twaukene striper right there.
Yeah, it is.
The black bass on Lake Fork. Well, we just finished up the Texas Hall of Famer, old Bob Seeley, was here. He hosted his annual Big Bass Splash event on Fork last weekend. He had a large turnout, had more than 2,400 anglers at this year's Splash event. An hourly Big Bass event calls for a strategic game plan to locate those under the 16-inch slot size bass. That's your best chance to get some of the hourly checks, and then you got to have a strategy to target those over the slot one in hopes of winning the tournament. So lure choices, techniques, and fishing locations are all part of the game plan when you fish these hourly big bass events here on Fork. And over bass usually always wins a good check each hour, but some anglers do quite well by targeting those under the 16-inch fish weighing 2 to 2.5 pounds. So the good thing about Lake Fork is that you never know where a big bass may be holding or what they may bite on, so everyone has a chance at the grand prize. I helped a few anglers this past week with their game plans. We went up shallow one morning to try out our strategy. We decided to fish shallow next to some alligator weed lines in a major creek area. Rigged up our weightless fluke-type plastic bait and fished it on the fluorocarbon lines slowly along the weed edges. We caught about 7 bass in a few hours, had 2 real nice unders that would have been for sure enough hourly check winners, and we had a couple of several heavy slot fish, but they were just not quite over the slot. So remember, you have to wear the life preserver and a kill switch when you fish in tournaments on Lake Fork. Anytime the big motor's running, be safe out there. Here's a picture of the nice under the slot fish we caught this week, and just a big old good money fish. No cigar though. It was a big fish, wasn't quite over the slot. Hey, good luck to everyone in the Upper Fresh region this fall and winter, and I'll look forward to next season.
Thank you, Johnny. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Upper Fresh region. He says Lake Twaukene, fall bite is on fire. The schools of white bass, hybrids, and stripers are chasing shads everywhere. The best lures are slabs and swim baits. And then some topwater action on the cloudy days and early morning. And in Lake Fork, the bass are moving shallow, chasing shad, and the best on chatterbaits and drop shots. Brie?
I'm gonna go get me a big fork bass. I am. Coming up on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, we're visiting the Startron Middle Fresh region. But first, we've got some much needed Dave time for rigs and techniques at the workbench.
Yep, we're going to be talking about the top 12 places to go catch crappie in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on. It sounds like you got an inside source.
Yeah.
Hot off the press. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Garmin. Join the club. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Reliability. Yamaha is known for it. And it's something boaters value, because these days, few things are built to last. When we find something that is, we hold on to friendships, traditions, outboards, because every second on the water is sacred. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters choose Yamaha for the long run, for life, because reliability starts here.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore. Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
For the Bay and beyond, team up with the best and rule the Bay in a Skeeter. Proven with 19 consecutive NMMA Consumer Satisfaction Awards. And right now through October 19th, you can fall into savings with rebates of up to $2,500. Versatility, control, performance, and design. Visit your local dealer or online at SkeeterBoats.com and fall into savings through October 19th. Skeeter, it's more than a boat, it's a lifestyle.
Have
Have you ever felt your heart pounding while feeling the power of a tarpon in the Florida Keys? Or experienced the changing colors of a mahi as you bring it on board? Whether it's in the Bahamas, the Florida Keys, Guatemala, or the Florida Everglades, Murphy's Law Sports Fishing has the ability to guide you to the fish of a lifetime. To book your trip today, call 305-246-0673 or go to murphyslawsportfishing.com. Well, welcome back. We're here at the workbench, and it's time for Rigs and Techniques. Dave, you said something about crappies. Let's get with it.
Well, we're Texas Fish and Wildlife, Texas Parks and Wildlife just put out a new list of the 12 best crappie lakes in Texas, and I wanted to go ahead and tell everybody about them because crappie are very abundant, and they're usually bite when you find them. They're great for kids. They aggregate in big schools, and they're really good to eat. One of the best freshwater fish there is to eat, and a lot of guys in Texas target them. So if you're going to target them, this is the place to go. One of the very first, I got 12 in a row. They're not ranked in any. This one's better than that one. Anyway, Abilene's Daniel Reservoir has very large crappie, many legal size, 10 inches and up to 15 inches, and it doesn't get a whole lot of pressure there. Grange Lake near Austin has a high abundance. And the TPWD puts brush piles all in that lake, and so you can fish from both the boat or the bank there at Grange Lake. Nice. And Lake Conroy near Houston, you can fish the major bridges, artificial habitats placed by the local fishing clubs. Piers and points in the main lake are really good there. Colodo Creek Reservoir near Victoria. White Rock Lake near Dallas has excellent crappie population, some of the highest. They have a 9.9 horsepower limit there, so it keeps the pressure down. Fish the reed beds there. Lake Lavon in north of Dallas, home of the Walter Marshall, who's the Mr. Crappie guy. Yes. And it's really good in the wintertime in deep, and in the spring and summer you go shallow. And that's pretty much all these lakes. Crappie will be in the deep water during the summer, and in the spring they'll come up into the shallow water to spawn. Sam Rayburn, we talk about it a lot near Jasper. It's a big reservoir, so it doesn't boom or bust like some of the smaller ones. Because it's so large, it has a consistent bite. And 15 to 30 feet around the brush piles there.
Lake of the Pines.
Lake of the Pines in Marshall, 20 to 35% of the crappie fishermen are people that fish that lake are there to fish for crappie. It is a crappie lake. They get up to 16 inches long. From December 1st to February, you have to keep the first 25 you catch, no matter how big they are. And then Twin Buttes Reservoir, the anglers consistently catch their limit. That's near San Angelo. And Lake Fork, top 5 best in the country. For crappie. The 14 fish that they had a 37-pound weight. 14 fish in the last year's crappie masters. Wow. And then Lake Limestone in Waco is really good. And then Lake Arrowhead in State Park. The Lake Arrowhead State Park is really good as well.
So Dave,
and Wichita Falls.
What is the typical way guys fish for them? They fish for them with these little, what is this, the beetle?
That's a Roadrunner.
Roadrunner.
That's a Roadrunner.
And then you can change the different types of plastic. You can put a bass assassin. That's
a crappie dapper.
Crappie dapper.
Yeah, they love little marabou jigs, any type of jig with either hair or a rubber tail. You want to go down to like 4 to 6 pound test monofilament, but if you really want to catch them, you want to use live minnows.
Live minnow.
A live minnow is the key. You'll sometimes catch them on all these other stuff, and once you find them, they bite pretty good. It's just getting on top of them and making sure you're not going underneath of them. This is a typical live. I think that's an eagle claw. It's a crappie rig, and you put your live baits on here, and what this does is it keeps them from getting tangled up, as you can slow troll it.
And get your weight.
Correct. And you can slow troll these, and what you don't want is you don't want it to be blowing back too far, that everything gets messed up, and you don't want it to be straight up and down either. You want it to have just a slight angle when you're trolling along to keep everything separated and keep the fish from swimming up into everything. And always keep nowadays, if you've got a good depth finder, the Garmin. The live scope is the king now, because you can locate the schools very easily, on your side, underneath, and see
which way they're moving, which way they're laying,
which way they're orientated to the structure. Find a new structure, and then you find the fish.
All right, Brie, we found structure. Now
we're finding crappie fish. I do. All right, in the Star-Tron Middle Fresh region, as the temperatures cool down, the bass bite is heating up. So let's get Matt Loescher on the line to give us a glimpse into the fall fishing we have to look forward to. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Brie.
I'm really excited. I'm a little sad that it's our last episode for the season, but
Yeah.
that's my highlight of the week, talking to you guys about fishing. But I am excited about the cooler temperatures and the bite, especially the bass bite this week. I'm going to get right on that. The cooler temperatures and the shorter days have really triggered the bass to feed all over the Middle Fresh region. At Toledo Bend this week, we've caught them really well. The fish have really begun to feed along the break lines in about 5 to 15 foot of water. And the key to finding them is locating that heavy concentration of shad in about 10 to 20 foot and then working the nearest 5 to 15 foot ledge in that area. So kind of, for example, if you find those shad really piled up in about 20 foot and then there's a 10 feet deep flat nearby, the edge of that drop off from that flat down to that 20 foot of water is where you'll want to fish. Crankbaits and worms have still been really great for us this week. Anything shad colored is good on the crankbait, and then green pumpkin or June bug has been best for the worms. Got a photo here for you. Mr. Kent from down in Florida came to fish with me this last week and caught a pretty nice Toledo Bend bass there.
Nice.
Now I'm going to switch it up, moving up north to talk about Mr. Thurman's Selman's report. He's with Bass Specialty Guide Service there at Richland Chambers, and he said he's had a good week as well. He tells me that the bass there are biting on shaky heads and 2 to 4 foot of water around the retaining walls, and the key is that to fish the retaining walls that have docks around for the added cover. He says that lake is in really good shape right now. It's hanging around pool level, and the water temperature is about 80 degrees. So good report from Richland Chambers. Now moving south to Mr. Jared Poole with Hill Country Hammer Guides and Outfitters. He reports an increase in the bass bite on Lake LBJ. He told me this week they're seeing wolf packs of 4 and 5 pound bass cruising in the shallow water areas. So he's really excited about that and going to be catching a bunch of them going into the fall. But he's been doing most of his damage this week on Lake Buchanan. He said that he's really getting some exciting bites on the topwater baits there. He mentioned that the bite is getting better and better as we get these cooler temperatures and the water temperatures dropping. He's also begun catching some fish on a squarebill crankbait there, so that fall bite's really getting going, cranking around those rocks. He's catching most of them on the rocky points there. Now, swapping species, talking about crappie for a minute. The Toledo Bend crappie bite's been really good lately, but this week it's taken a dive on us. We've had a persistent, strong north wind, which hasn't made things any easier. We've managed to catch some fish. We've done okay when we go out each day. A big part of our problem is that north wind. It's just limiting where we can fish. So I do expect things to get better. So look for a better bite in the coming weeks, especially with the water temperature dropping and, the season's beginning to change. The ones we're catching are coming from 15 to 25 foot, mostly on minnows. Like Dave was saying, the minnow is just the deal. They can't hardly turn it down. They just haven't wanted to eat the jigs as well this week. They haven't been as aggressive. So we're utilizing that live bait to tease them into biting for the most part. And we're fishing our minnows on a tight line rig right above the fish, down about 8 to 15 feet in that 15 to 25 foot of water. Now finishing out, Jared Poole also mentioned to me that the bow fishing on Lake LBJ continues to get better with the cooler water temperatures. They're shooting some huge fish down there. They're having a ton of fun doing this. I got another photo here for you of some of Jared's buddies with some big old fish on the gaff that they're shooting. So they got some big targets for you to shoot at. Definitely go get in on that before it gets cold. And I just want to say thanks to everybody for watching this season. It's been another great season. Can't wait to get on it again next spring.
All right, thank you so much for your help this year, Matt. And we will be back, obviously, in April. So the Middle Fresh hotspots are the bass are biting great with the water temperatures cooling, crankbaits, top waters, and worms have been the ticket. The crappie in 15 to 25 feet biting minnows. And the bow fishing is hot on LBJ.
Nice. All right, when we come back, we're headed to the Alvey Reels Middle Coast and Fish Bites Upper Coast regions and chatting with our friend from Skeeter Boats. But the adventures continue while we're off the air until April 2021. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, Captain Rick Murphy, where we'll be uploading new fishing adventures. And here is a sneak peek.
All right.
ahead. Friggin' deadliest catch over here.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Alvy Reels, a better way to fish. And Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
Why is Casa Vieja Lodge on everyone's bucket list?
Left teaser. Left flat as well. 2 fish. They're everywhere. Right flat teaser as well. Left flat, right flat teaser.
Come to Casa Vieja Lodge and check it off your list.
Finding a shoreline is easy. Finding a sure thing is not. For over 20 years, anglers from Kitty Hawk to California and every shore in between have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites. So just stop with the fishing and get busy with the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures or visit fishbites.com.
Well, joining me now is Michael Curry from Skeeter Boats. And you know, Michael, you guys make bass boats and bay boats like this Skeeter 210. So why don't we just get right into it? What do we need to tell our viewers about Skeeter?
Sure. You know, Skeeter is a Yamaha-owned boat company. We are based in Texas, in Kilgore, Texas, and we build our freshwater boats and we build saltwater boats, build some walleye stuff. But you know, our bay boats range from 21 to 25 feet.
So, you know, you guys are certainly known for your bass boats, but in the bay boat categories, like this 210 and this particular 24, what do we need to know about these models? What do they have in common?
Oh, well, what they would have in common is obviously they're powered by Yamaha outboards. And speaking of the 240 here that's in this frame, you know, the 240, it has plenty of storage for the guy that travels. Texas is a huge state, so you got a lot of water to cover. You may go to Louisiana to fish, and you got your insulated fish boxes, lockable rod storage for up to 7, 6, and 8 foot rods in the 240, which is the quintessential, bay boat that we build. In this frame here, we're seeing, you know, if your guys are catching live bait, you've got net storage. The 240 has family features, flip-up seats in the back of the boat. You've got Ingle cooler, you've got dry storage. You have all the things you kind of need to be a successful tournament fisherman, or take the kids and the wife out boating.
You know, what I love about this boat, as well as this 21 that we're sitting on, is the live well. And like you said, whether you're bass fishing or whether you're red fishing or trout fishing, you certainly have the ability to, you know, put those baits, or actually those fish in there. So let's talk about the new boat. You got a 25-footer. Give me the quick rundown.
Yeah. We have we released at the Miami Boat Show last year, or last year, the 2550, which is a hybrid. And as you know, I've seen your show, you talk about conservation and fisheries, and we had to develop a boat that was, you could take inshore and catch the flounder and the redfish, and also take the family. We have added some family features with a console you could put a head in, but also bring up the sides tall enough to sneak offshore and go catch red snapper and go catch the shallow nearer shore groupers. So we had to develop a boat that really that the fisheries directed us to go.
I love the forward seating. Now, if somebody has any question whatsoever about any skeeters, where do they go to find it?
They would go to skeeterboats.com and hopefully find their local dealer with our dealer locator function.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bree, we got to go to another region. Where are we headed?
Yes, we do. All right, complete with descriptive reports, great catches, and beautiful photos. Your Alvey Reels Middle Coast Region guide, Captain Bink Grimes, has done a phenomenal job this season. What can we look forward to this weekend, Bink?
Well, our tides are really, really high from Tropical Storm Beta. They're almost 3 to 4 foot above normal. That low pressure in the Gulf has got our trout pushed to the shorelines and kind of scattered in the back lake. Guide Ray Sexton said in West Matagorda Bay he's been hot for limits over shell while waiting. Those tides are high. He likes to work right close to the grass line on top of those shell-laden points. Parts of Trespalashes Bay and Coon Island have been paying off really well with the higher tides. The jetties along the middle coast have been good for trout on live shrimp and shad. Some have waited the backside of the jetties with calm winds. So many people forget about the surf this time of year and the jetty. They think it's just a summertime thing, but man, those fish are still there. Still a lot of shrimp in the Gulf, and those fish are following them. In Rockport, the high tides, they push fish to the shallow flats. Top waters have coached trout to 5 pounds on super flat and around St. Joe Island. The flats around Pelican Island have paid off as well. Drifting East Matagorda Bay continues to produce big trout. Better trout have come on soft plastics like Bass Assassins and Mirror Little Johns, and the higher tides have pumped another bumper crop of large Gulf trout right there over that deep shell. Some of the fish are measuring more than 18 inches on those Gulf trout, and which are a welcome bonus. I tell you, with all these high tides, our redfish, I guess the last 2 weeks, redfish has just been going crazy around here. Guys, Brett Sweeney and Keith Phillips said they've been finding redfish in West Matagorda Bay while fishing fresh mullet. Schooling fish are beginning to show right along the grass lines, as they tend to every time this time of year. And higher tides are pushing those reds on the Estes Flats and Rockport. Nearby East Flats and Pelican Island and Port Aransas are doing well as is Redfish Bay. Good numbers of kayakers are tossing a lot of soft plastic and small topwaters as well. Guy Caleb Rush said he used topwaters to crush limits of reds in West Matagorda Bay this week. Guy Lynn Smith in Port O'Connor, he's been doing the same in the back lake. Bull redfish, they're still on the beachfront from Surfside to Port O'Connor. All the jetties are players this time of year. The Surfside, the Freeport, the Matagorda jetties are all holding big redfish on cracked blue crabs, mullet, table shrimp. Then the Port O'Connor and Port Aransas jetty are full of big reds. And then while drifting in front of Port O'Connor's Bird Island, soaking menhaden and large table shrimp. Photo there's a nice red caught in the afternoon. Cast portion of the day, the blast portion took place with me that morning. We've been shooting blue wing teal in the morning, then going out and getting limits of redfish in the afternoon. Offshore, tarpon, silver kingfin, they're showing in the Gulf from Sargent to Port O'Connor. Been a little tough this week with all that tropical moisture and tropical storms out in the Gulf and big waves, but man, those fish are still there. There've been some big schools showing up in about 30 foot of water. Those fish are hanging around all the way through October, so don't forget about them. They're there. The Port O'Connor and Port Aransas jetties continually hold good numbers of poons this time of year. If you didn't know what Port Aransas was once so famous for tarpon, it was actually called tarpon. And Franklin D. Roosevelt used to go down there and fish for those silver kings and what is now Port Aransas. Best bites have come on shad and live finger mullet, but lure chunkers, they're rigging curly tails behind jigs on circle hooks, and they're getting good bites with poons.
All right, Bink, thank you so much for your help this year. We appreciate it. We'll be back with you, obviously, in the spring. The Middle Coast hotspots are trout are good, the tight to the shoreline in West Bay on the Bass Assassins, sheep pups. Redfish are solid in the back lakes with the higher tides. And then the best bait has been small topwaters and live shrimp. And the tarpon are good along the beachfront and around the jetties from Sargent to Port O'Connor.
All right, can't stop, won't stop fishing in the Fish Bites Upper Coast region, and your Captain Carl Weston sure took the bull by the horns this season. So Carl, what's inshore and offshore looking like?
Well, folks, we are catching really nice reds along the beachfront this week. And we have found that drifting with a chum bag filled with frozen ground shad or trying some of those fish bite chum cakes is where it's at. Fish are really fired up, like Bink said. I definitely would free line, some live or dead sardines back into the chum slick and get ready for that rod to bend. These big bulls are running from 10 to 20 pounds on average. This type of fishing will be around most of the winter for you folks. So even though our report kind of slows down, the fishing won't. And a lot of anglers, they'll trade in their waders for shotguns or bows, but remember, hey, don't stop fishing. Trout and many other species to chase here. And look at these big boys we got in this picture here today.
Nice. That's a cool picture. Nice. All right, man.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Twofer.
As we move into fall, the flounder bite should improve with every cold front that blows through on us. Fishing the rock piles and scouting along the jetties can produce some really nice fall action with these fish. And I like to throw a Texas rig tipped with a light-colored fish bites in crab or shrimp flavor. Also, a never-fail option is a Bass Assassin shrimp in white and bright green on about a half to 3/4 ounce jig head so you can get down to the bottom. When you get ready, work these baits along the bottom in the rocks over these oyster piles. And as the water temp drops, the action will just heat up. And these guys are another fish that you can target all year here in the Upper Coast. Here's a picture of a nice haul of flounder.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore where you make your money, big boy.
All right, well, we're going to do a little mixed bag. And as we wrap up our fishing report for the year, the Upper Coast fishing is still in full swing. The kingfish are chasing live bait on offshore structure, and the ling are still following the shrimp boats, along with blackfin, tuna, dorado, tons of big sharks. The vermilion snapper has kind of replaced the red snapper nowadays, but there's still plenty of fish to be caught there. There are plenty of rock piles and deeper offshore rigs to drop on for smaller species of grouper such as gag and scamp. Pushing on out in the deeper water, the golden tilefish bite is solid. The yellow edge barrelfish and daytime sword has been very consistent. We have a picture of a sword fish here today on a daytime trip.
Nice.
And as we'll roll in right into amberjack. Like I said, amberjack bite has still been on a hot streak this week. Fishing offshore structure in the 250 to 400 foot range is where you want to be. You're going to find your best fish in there. Dropping some AJ candy, aka live hardtails, is our preferred method. Still, they're on fire. Rig a simple 3-way rig with about a 500-pound piece of Diamond Boy leader. I crimp it to a 600-pound 3-way swivel, large weight loop on one end of the leader, and I use 2 to 4 pounds of weight. Use a strong, reliable hook as well. The 16-aught Eagle Claw Circle C fits that bill. And don't forget to buy yourself one of those R&R Tackle wet nets to refrain from chasing your bait all day in the live well. And it's been a great year fishing, guys. We look forward to many more, and we have a picture here of JT with an amberjack.
All right, Carl, well, appreciate it very much. You did a good job this year, and again, I appreciate all the great pictures. But it is time for the Mirror Lure Upper Coast Hotspots redfish drifting the beachfront for bull reds, free lining shad, out into your chum slick, and then offshore. Try those amberjacks dropping large live baits on structure in 250 to 400 foot range. What do you think about that, Brie?
I think that was a nice swordfish. All right, the lower fresh region is wrapping us up here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. But first, we want to see what Dave has scoped out in the fish market for new products. Dave?
I think I've got me some new sunglasses, Rick.
Got you some new sunglasses.
These are 580 Gs.
He'll be taking those
Diegos.
home.
These are very nice.
Costas
I can
look
see
nice.
clearly the rain is gone.
We'll be back. Thank the Lord.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a MirrOlure. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. And StarTron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO. Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. Alvi reels are manufactured using the most reliable components. Alvi's state-of-the-art drag and retrieve rates are perfect for any fishing challenge. So whether it's a side cast or spinning reel, Alvi makes a reel that best fits your needs. Alvi reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the Alvi also comes with up to a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alvius.com.
Today's Power Pole tip is about the emergency start feature that's built into the charge. Now let me explain how this works, guys. You know, we're fishing hard all day long, running our trolling motor, running obviously all of our electronics, live well pumps, and a variety of different other things. And unfortunately, we're not paying attention to how much voltage we're really using. So the one thing that the charge does with this emergency start feature is it gives me peace of mind knowing that all I have to do is go into the Sea Monster app, click on the emergency start feature, and now it'll start drawing all of the amperage out of the trolling motor and putting it into the engine battery. So it'll allow me to replenish the engine battery so that when I turn the key, I have the necessary volts to get me home, which gives me that peace of mind. Now remember, on my way home, the charge is going to be replenishing both the trolling motor battery as well as the cranking battery. So if you have any questions, go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week. So Dave, we're talking about new products here at the workbench.
Yes, sir.
And we have from Taco the new shade fin.
Shadow in seconds.
Shadow in seconds.
That's exactly
so why don't
right.
We take
it's
a second,
shadow in seconds.
Why don't we take a second and look at some video that they provided to us? You know, the key thing about this, Dave, is that it allows you to use either a rod holder that's mounted on the T-top, or you can use it on the side of the boat, like if you got kiddos in there.
Yeah.
What I love is how portable it is. You can see how it folds up, and
it only weighs 12 pounds.
Right. And you have the ability to open it up and then collapse it back. So, you know, what am I missing on this?
It is stout. It's stout. It's got a UPF 50, that shade fin fabric there. So, it'll keep the sun off you, and not only that, protects you from the rays as well. It's not just a regular shade.
Yeah.
It blocks all the bad rays. And you can pair it with a fixed outrigger or an adjustable ones. It can fit in all kinds of rod holders and rigger holders. It actually comes with a hard top mounting bracket as well, and that protective little mesh storage bag it comes in.
So here it is.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like essentially underneath. George, you're gonna have to back up there, bub.
That thing's
anyway, and this would you can move this around.
Correct.
This is going to go in
the rod
holder.
Yeah.
And then
goes
this
on the end.
snaps on or snaps in there.
It slides in there. So.
Perfectly. Yeah.
And once it gets in
I got it. There we
you
go. And then you adjust it the way you want to adjust it.
Correct.
When it's time to go home,
5 by 6 feet of coverage.
Wow.
High quality anodized aluminum it's made out of, so it's not going to go anywhere forever.
I love it.
TacoMarine.com.
That'll
Get
protect
you one
little
of those.
Mia.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Be careful. Next, we got some good Costa sunglasses. We'll start with that one in the middle. That's the Diego. It's probably their most advanced sport glass that they make. It's made for being out on the water and keeping you cool in your face as well. It's got the innovative spring hinge inside, and it maximizes airflow because they have these little channels along the inside that puts the sweat out, and comes with all the great glass styles, 580p, 580 glass as well. And next,
I feel the cool just oozing.
well, they
out
are.
of me
They're
right
awesome, man. I like
Yeah.
those. I like those a lot because they block the sides really well and the top as well.
Is this the
on
lady
side.
style?
Yes, that's the Water Woman 2. The Water Woman was the very first Costa glasses, made for the ladies. And what this one is, they got all the same kind of styles and everything. It's just that it made them a little bit bigger because a lot of the ladies were complaining they were all too small, and so they made them a little bit bigger. And that's what the Waterman 2 is, style and performance. And last but not least, this is called the Ferg, and Ray Ferguson was the founder of Costa Del Mar, and that's what they're named after. These are the ones that he really liked. Came with, he had pretty high standards, and that's what these represent. 100% UV polarized top and side shields, and the integrated rubber along the temples to keep them in place.
Nice.
Yeah, Costa Del Mar. It's
right.
really good stuff.
CostaDelMar.com.
Yeah, that's right. Costa. Anyway, Starbright. We got some Power Pine wash, concentrated, biodegradable boat wash, cleans fiberglass, painted surfaces, fish boxes, bright work. You can put it in the bilge as well. Works in fresh or salt water, soaps up real nice. That concentrated formula, that'll treat, that 32-ounce bottle will treat 96 gallons. Phosphate free.
96
gallons. Yep, 96 gallons. Phosphate free. If you get a gallon jug, it'll do 384 gallons. So I can't do the math, but anyway, that's what they say. I'm going to believe them. Cleans fiberglass, painted surfaces. Again, good boat wash. Smells like pine. Next, right there, we have the microfiber detailing kit, and it's a microfiber. What it's called a microfiber is because all those, it has tiny little hooks in there, tons and millions of them, and that's what they attract and pick up dirt. Well, this has 3 different cloths. It includes the streak-free glass, which is this one here, the light blue one.
Right.
And then the wash and clean, which is the regular blue one.
Right.
And then the gray one there is the, for super absorbent, kind of like a chamois, to dry stuff and polish it up. And you can use all of these dry or damp. They're all lint-free and machine washable when you get ready to get rid of them.
So I don't want to burst your bubble. 96 gallons is 96 gallons, whether it's 5-gallon buckets or it's 1 gallon. I'm sorry, I'm trying to equate the math and you're hurting my brain.
It makes
over
96
here.
gallons.
Thank you very much.
Two capfuls per gallon, I think, or something.
Starbright.com.
That's a lot of gallons.
Wow. We did it, Brie.
Well, Rick, you said I'm oozing coolness. So, you and Dave are right together on that one. I've never heard you say oozing coolness before.
Oozy.
Oozy.
Okay.
He's oozing it.
Whatever.
All right, Matt, you've worked so hard every week getting reports from all over your very large region and making lower freshers proud. So thank you for being an outstanding guide this season. But we've still got fish to catch, so what you got for us?
What I got for us? Well, let's get this thing started with a large vessel. No, by the way, I have done this every show we've done the Texas Insider Fishing Report. So it's just a cool thing that I enjoy doing. Let's start this thing off at Falcon Lake. There's several patterns in play right now. We got a little bit of rising water and cooling water temperature, so there's starting to be a little shallow bite on the gravel points. They're chasing shad. It seems funny they won't bite the crankbait as well as they will a soft plastic. So even though they're running shad, throw a big worm up there and you'll catch a bunch of them. The deep bite is still your best shot for a big fish. Throw Texas rig worms in the brush piles or on the rock ledges.
Also, football jigs are turning out some really big ones. Get out here, and it's just a great time of the year. It's cooled off, and there's a chance you can catch some fish of a lifetime. Got a report from Brian Cotter in the Austin area. Lake Decker is fishing very well. You need to start in the discharge in the morning using small shad color swim baits or 4-inch stick baits in watermelon colors. Catching fish up to 3 or 4 pounds in there in the morning early. Later, move on out on the main lake and look for schooling bass. There's huge schools of shad out there right now. You want to look for the just big dark spots, which are actually the bait fish. Throw you a swim bait on a belly-weighted hook and just let it fall down the water column through those schools of shad. It'll firm up, and no telling how big you'll be. A lot of them are 2 or 3 pounds, but catching them up to 6 pounds out of those schools of shad. On over to Inks Lake and Marble Falls, they're both fishing really good right now. On Inks, they're schooling on both ends of the lake. You can throw a small crankbait or swim bait into these fish and get a lot of hookups from 3 to 6 pound class fish. Later in the day, you want to flip docks and reeds with a 4 or 5 inch stick bait and watermelon or green pumpkin. On Marble Falls, you want to throw a frog around the retaining walls and near docks or any of the shallow water willow grass beds. It's a great way to have fun with an exciting bite to catch them on a frog shallow. Later, you want to move out into a mid-depth crankbait or a jig around the deeper ledges, also on the ends of the docks downriver. Greg Boyk from Anglers Angle Guide Service sent me a report from over at Fayette County. Fish has been good. This cooling weather, there's more of them moving shallow. A lot of fish along the reeds and the outer edge of the hydrilla. You want to throw a wacky rig stick bait or swim jigs or a jackhammer or even a rattle trap and just old faithful chrome blue. Catch you a bunch of them up there shallow because the shad have moved up a lot. Later in the day, you want to get out in that 12 to 15 foot range on the main lake points with a light Carolina rig with a fluke style bait on it or a drop shot with a stick bait. We've had a lot of north wind lately. That's made them not as aggressive, so anytime you feel a little added weight, go ahead and set the hook. It might be one just sitting there holding it. Lake Somerville is also producing well. Lipless crankbaits and square bills in that 2 to 6 feet of water, real close to deep water, though. You want to fish those shorelines that the drop-off is close. That's been working best. You want to look for the schools of shad up there, just nervous water, just a little ripple on the top could be all the sign you'll see. Those bass are mixed in with a lot of the whites and hybrids, but just keep throwing and you'll catch your target species. They're all mixed in together right now. Mike Bates has sent me a report out of Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake's got a lot of hydrilla in it right now, which is great habitat for the bass. It's growing out to about 18 feet. The top water bite is good all the way up to about 10 o'clock in the morning on the grass edges and in the pockets in the grass. Later, you want to throw a swim bait in shad colors, fished on the outside edges. If that bite doesn't work for you, get you a big 10-inch worm on a Texas rig and watermelon colors out to that 18-foot edge. Drag it real slow through the scattered grass, and he's caught quite a few fish. Most of them are in the 2 to 3 pound range, but he's caught fish up to 8 pounds this week. Got a picture there. One of my customers, old Curry Reagan, with a big old 9-pound Lake Falcon bass.
Every
part
week.
of a day, a few days ago, where our best 5 would have exceeded 40 pounds. Just fun when you can load the boat with big ones in a day.
Yeah.
Tell us about the white bass and hybrids, bub.
Let's go white bass and hybrid. Lake Somerville, the white bass and hybrids are taking advantage of the bait fish moving up. A lot of bird activity when they're schooling on top. Look for the birds, get after them, throw you a top water popper or a walking bait through them. When they go down, pick you up a crankbait or a swim bait or a slab spoon and drop it through them, and that is a great way to fill your ice chest full of fish that's good to eat.
All right, so Matt, I got a question. What you got? That's what you got?
That's all I got.
All right.
That's it.
I got a question for you. So, when you come down to your neck of the woods, what can you expect this time of year? Obviously, you're catching big fish every week.
It's a great time. It's not as hot. I mean, it's still going to be 90 degrees. but very acceptable. You know, we'll have a little cold front. I'm gonna catch them on big worms, football jigs, crankbaits out on the main lake most of the time, and you know, we're averaging catching 30 or 40 fish a day with quite a few big ones thrown in. It's always exciting when you never know whether your next hook set's going to be a 10-pounder or a 2-pounder. So I love it when the big ones live here.
Yeah.
Just where there are big.
Well, we appreciate all your hard work this week, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. Falcon Lake, the bass are cooperating early. You want to fish the shallow gravel points with shallow crankbaits and Texas rig worms for active schooling fish. And then later, you want to move out to the brush piles and rock ledges with a Texas rig big worm and football jigs to find some of them big ones.
Well, gentlemen,
Very nice.
This is it. This is the close of the season. We'll be back April 2021. Make sure you tune in to our YouTube page, Captain Rick Murphy. Thank you to our sponsors, our fans, our crew. You guys, it's been an awesome season.
Bang,
and
bang.
We'll see you next year.
See you next
pew,
April.
Pew, pew, pew.
Bye, guys.
Bye.